Hello. In this video, we shall be looking at the site office transport. In the last video, we spoke about the importance and the prerequisites required for a site office. However, today we'll look at the transport that is going to take place inside the site, the entry, the exit, and all the things involved. Along with that, we'll also be looking at the labor camps. So very important for any site engineer to understand is where will the transport be? What is the direction? What is the route? Similarly, where will the laborers be? Because of course, the headache with laborers is that they are illiterate and they might not understand the management aspects of the site. Very commonly used transport or transit vehicle in site is a flatbed truck. The reason it is flatbed truck is because it can carry majority amount of heavy weight materials, and that's it makes it very simple to move site offices. A crane is sometimes used to take them as well. So site office sometimes will be constructed or sometimes will be assembled at site. Normally when we were working in metro stations or airports, site office might be the containers of ship cargoes also. In that case, the crane will be used to erect them and install them at the right places. Typically, that comes with adjustable steel legs with connectors. The reason why it is going to be metal is because it is very easy to assemble and demolish once it is done, because site office is going to be a temporary structure. The typical material used for site office is a galvanized sheet with an insulating core. The reason why it's galvanized sheet is because it will go through a lot of external atmosphere, rain, sunlight, and all the other radiations. Hence, it is important for us to keep an alloy with galvanized alloy rather than keeping raw iron or steel because it might corrode. Now the walls and interiors of the site office needs to be in plasterboard because that is lightweight. In case you need to transport the site office after a stage of construction, it is very important to have it plasterboard because yes, stability is important, but more than stability, you will require it to be lightweight. While the walls are strong and easy to clean, it's very important to keep as much ventilation as possible because people inside the office should not feel like it is closed and it is suffocating. Hence, maximum light levels are produced. The side windows and even sometimes the windows on top are provided in the site office as well. Now let's look at the site planning if the site is very large. Normally, if the site is very large, the site offices are often stacked with external metal stairs. So sometimes they'll keep one container on top of another container, and external metal staircases shall be provided because it is easier for us to go vertically than horizontally because horizontally it will take too much of area. Hence, numerous interconnected movable offices will be placed one on another and made like a block in itself, all connected with internal staircases and steel frames. This is because, like I told, lightweight, non-corrosive, and easy to transport. With that, we can have capacity of over hundreds of employees which can be transported easily. Now, with in terms of large site planning, do we need to buy all those containers? Not really. So most of the times it will be rented or leased. And if you are in a business where you are building continuous large site projects, then you can buy the containers as well. And from one project to another project, you can take it, reuse it, return it after the work is finished. Now let us get into the labor camps. Now, what are labor camps? Why are they not called houses? The reason why it is called as camps and not houses is because it is not qualified enough to be called as a house. Now, labor camp means building or a group of buildings, sometimes even tents, sheds for the temporary shelter of labor. And in India, we have a lot of laborers who are married couple as well. So men and women will be working together in the single site. Hence, it is important for us to give the requisite privacy to them as well as provide the shelter, which is going to withstand the wind, the rain, and all the other external factors which are going to be affecting the site. So hence, labor camps are provided either outside the site or inside the site, depending on the site plan. Now, if you are working in a site which is directly accessible by public, for example, metro, for example, flyovers, then labor camps are provided inside in a different area. But if you are working in a real estate, township, IT park, or a business park, or a residential blocks, then labor camps are provided inside because that is a closed space and not every public can enter. That is why it is important to decide where the labor camps are going to come even before the execution work starts. Now, in terms of labor and working conditions and management plan, now this plan describes what are the requirements of the local, national, and all the compliances involved. When we talk about local, we look at the plan that is required for the local labors, the plan that is required for external labors as well. We also look at the expectations from the standard labor laws in the city and labor laws of the central government as well, because every labor is supposed to be followed under the law, and they have contracts, laws, and labor officers which will be put up in each city and each district to take care of the labor and the condition of the laborers, along with the living conditions and health conditions of the laborers as well. So the required training that is to be given to the laborers, the required supervision that is to be given to the labor, even those things site engineers will be responsible for. Sometimes you will have labor officers or labor in charges in the site itself who will be taking care of the labor. Sometimes, if they don't have the labor supervisors or labor in charges, site engineers should be able to take up that initiative and train the laborers according to the standard, which is compliance of the labor policy, labor law, as well as the requirements you do from the site. Here, we'll be looking at what is in terms of the working condition, the water supply, electrical supply, sanitary, sewage treatment, and all the basic facilities which are supposed to be given to any residences. And here we also look at what kind of accommodation are we giving, the storage space that we are giving, the bed space that we are giving, the square footage that we are giving as well. So this is something that we shall be looking in terms of labor camps. Now let's look into few norms which are commonly used while planning the whole labor camp. First one, we need to promote fair and equitable labor practices. When I say fair and equitable labor practices, that means they should not be discriminated based on their gender or place, religion, or any of that kind, or even skilled and unskilled. Equal labor practices shall be provided to all the laborers. Equal opportunity shall be provided to all the laborers. That is one of the norms of the labor law. Second, we need to establish, manage, and promote positive management of worker relationship. So management worker relationships means what? That means the management should be available to listen to the problems of the labor. Similarly, the labor should be able to understand the problems and the pressures which the site management goes through. So that is something that the site management has to take care of, not the laborers. The laborers might not be able to initiate such talks with the management unless the management comes to the laborers and tells that, you know what, we are open to your inputs, we are open to your opinions, and we will try to make your life better. In return, you will be performing at your best to make sure my site work gets completed as soon as possible. The next is to protect the rights of the workers. So many problems are cropping up. There are so many accusations in big projects about the humiliation and the death of human rights. Now, that is something that is being longly accused in construction industry. This year itself, we saw huge accusations on Qatar World Cup because of non-following of human rights, the abuse of human rights on the workers. Now, is it real? Is it false? That is the second question. But the accusation is very strong. And not just Qatar, even in India, there are so many accusations and proven guilty persons as well, where they have abused the human rights of laborers. The reason why it happens is because laborers are not aware of those rights. Hence, it becomes important for the migrants and the third party workers to know what the rights are. They're trained in the rights, they are aware of the rights, and to make sure the site engineers need to protect the rights of the human labor as well. Another norm that we generally use in construction industry in India is to promote healthy, secure, and comfortable housing. Of course, I'm not talking about a luxurious housing or even a middle class housing, but a bed, a couple of places for storage, a small kitchen, a gas cylinder, good sanitary, then sewage treatment, and drinking water. That is all they ask. Not anything lucrative, not anything premium. So it is very important for us to provide those kind of opportunities and comfortable housing to the labor. The challenge here is because the labor don't know how to behave in the public when they are in a mob. The laborers now inside normally are 200, 300 laborers. So when they are 200, 300, they are a mob. So if you don't take care of them right, they will show you that they can't behave properly. And that will affect your name and your brand in the nearby communities as well. Now, these are some norms that are being used in the construction industry. Now, the reach to workmen in construction is very important. So we need to make sure we promote the locals as well. The reason being the locals understand the challenges in the city or in that place. So hiring locals offers the benefit of understanding of the site and adaptability to situations as well. But the problem is in terms of unskilled workers or unskilled occupations, it requires a lot of training because not every local worker is up to the standards of the contractor. So a lot of training and development needs to be put, a lot of investment needs to be put on the laborers to make sure that they are on the level of the standards that the contractor expects. Now, this will of course add a lot of training cost on the labor. However, this is worth it if you have a good labor team and if they're willing to learn. An increase in a lot of these complaints in terms of quality or in terms of the way they behave will be held by ransom by the local lobbyists. When I say local lobbyists, it might be media, the neighborhood association, the local MLA, corporators, all those people who are responsible for the harmonious growth of the community. Hence, if you keep locals high, they themselves will take care of all these problems. When it is migrant workers, you need to make sure that the local communities are not affected by it. Second, you need to make sure that the complaints are not being coming to the site team on the labors and their behavior. Now, these are some things that we should be looking at when we talk about labor management. And more than that, the labor camp, the importance of labor camp, and how to make sure you get the maximum productivity out of labors each time at site. In the next video, we shall be looking at the inventory, the stores at the site, and how it is important for the betterment of the construction of the project. So see you in the next video.